all the better. So Tina, I guess if you want to go ahead and kick us off, that would be awesome.
Yes, I will. One moment. The regular meeting of the Minneapolis Arts Commission will now begin. This meeting is being recorded in accordance with the open meeting law.
Good evening. My name is Joan Vorderbruggen, and I am the chair of the Minneapolis Arts Commission. Before we begin, I'd like to note that this meeting includes the remote participation of members as authorized under Minnesota statutes, section 13D.021. Due to the declared local health pandemic, I will now call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll so we can verify the presence of a quorum.
Commissioner Aylesworth. Commissioner Bedbury.
Present.
Commissioner Brinkman.
Present.
Commissioner Silky Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Mansfield.
Present.
Commissioner Mabius.
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
Commissioner Swinton.
Present.
Commissioner Thompson.
Present.
Commissioner Vorderbruggen.
Present. Thank you. With that, we will proceed to our agenda, a copy of which was posted for public access to the city's legislative information management system, which is available at lims.minneapolismn.gov. Awesome. Well, welcome to our March meeting. We have a really exciting agenda this evening. We have several guest speakers. But to kick us off, I think we have to kind of get through our first orders of business, and I'd love to be able to combine an adoption of the agenda and the acceptance of the February 16th minutes from our general meeting. Could someone motion to approve those two items?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mabius. Any discussion? Nays? Recusing? Okay. Tina, if you don't mind calling the roll.
Commissioner Aylesworth. Commissioner Bedbury.
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkman.
Aye.
Commissioner Silky Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Mansfield.
Aye.
Commissioner Mabius.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Swinton.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Commissioner Vorderbruggen.
Aye. And so those two items pass. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. And now we'll move on to introductions. So typically, for those of you who maybe haven't been to a commissioner meeting or haven't been in a while, we will introduce ourselves, stating our names, our pronouns, the ward you're serving in, and then something else. And we didn't get a chance in the waiting room to really come up with some ideas. So I know it's been a really heavy time. It's International Women's Month. I don't know. Go ahead and briefly contribute whatever it is that you are called to do. And I will take a volunteer to kick us off and then tag the next person. So we'll do commissioner, staff, and then guests. So who's going to kick it off? Okay, I saw Commissioner maybe a smile, so I'm picking on you.
Okay. My name is Jack Mabius, and I represent Ward 12. Use he, him pronouns. I grew up in a household of women and respect them immensely and would not be the person I am without them today. So will celebrate them this month. And I will pass it off to Commissioner Smith.
I'm David Smith, Ward 1. And what was Oh, and he, him, and what was the item we were supposed to talk about today? I cut out at that point.
It's your choice, item du jour. What do you want to contribute?
I'm downtown right now, and there's a big march going on for the teachers' strike. So I've been following that and support them. And I will send it to Crystal.
Hi, Crystal Brinkman, she, her, hers. I'm in Ward 1 as well. And I've been able to witness the teacher strike as well for the past few days, and I'm very moved by it, and also support them and wish them all the best. And I'll pass it to Commissioner Mansfield.
Hi, Mari, she, her, hers, representing Ward 8. Yeah, I've also been enjoying helping out the teachers for their strike as much as possible. I'll be speaking at a rally they have at South tomorrow evening, and it's also really great to see all the amazing women and femme leaders on the front lines of the strike. Pick someone else. I'll call on, let's see who's here. Hava.
Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, is that it? Oh, perfect. Thank you. Hava Silky Jones, Ward 7, she, her, hers. I will share out a kind of an intersection of the different pieces people have been talking about. Is that I got the opportunity to work downtown on Monday from the new city buildings and really enjoyed being immersed in the arts and at City Hall. And while I was down there, I got to also witness the strike and did a lot of honking and supporting as well. So it's just an exciting and inspiring time to be here. I will tag Commissioner Vorderbergen.
Thank you. Joan Vorderbergen, representing Ward 7, she, her, hers. I was really excited to be called upon to donate bullhorns for the strike. It was flattering to me that my friends know that I have a little collection of those things. And so I was able to like battery them up and get extra batteries and hand them out. And I don't care if they ever return. I'm glad that voices will be spoken loudly through them. And that's really exciting. And the other item, I guess I'll share selfishly, I just at 5:30 turned in my last nursing assignment to get my nurse's license back. And it was like such a brutal process. I thought it'd be so easy, but it's like they did not make it easy. So that was like a major accomplishment in between everything else that's been going on. So I would like to pass it to Commissioner Thompson.
Hi, everybody. Lucy Thompson, she, her, hers, Ward 10. I don't have any noble causes to talk about. I've been on vacation. So I went to the California building last Saturday, which was fun just because I guess it's not a building I get to very often, and they do a second Saturday open studio thing. So I went and checked it out. Otherwise, I've been watching the Indian Wells tennis tournament. That's all I got. I don't have anything. Let's see. Is that, oh, Mandy, I'll turn it to Mandy.
I'm just over here hiding, but you found me. Hello, Mandy Bedbury, Ward 10. She, her, hers. I am leaving tomorrow bright and early for Miami Beach, and I fear that my brain is already there, so apologies. I can't wait to see green and feel what humidity feels like again, like all those things. So yes, well, much needed vacay. So that's me. And are we to staff now? So I can tag like Mary or someone?
Commissioner Swinton yet.
Oh, Swinton. I tag Swinton.
Hello all, Jeff Swinton, he, him, his, Ward 7, and First of all, it's amazing that Joan has a bullhorn collection. I absolutely love that fact. That's probably what I remember from today's call. But also, this is my third day in a row interacting with a Hava. So it's been a Hava week for me, and it's been great interaction. So I appreciate that. So I think we are up to staff. Is that correct? Okay, Tina.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you. I'm sorry, my mind just went blank there. I'm sorry, I apologize. Good to see everyone. I am the admin staff for the Arts Commission. I work for the city of Minneapolis, for those who are guests on. And just excited that the weather is breaking and it's fine and we're getting warm weather. So I'm happy and grateful for that. So, and I will tag Talia. Thank you.
I am Talia Mormon, she, her, hers. I am the city's public art coordinator, and I manage the city's public art collection, and I help with permits for temporary art, which I will talk about later. And I am also super excited about the warm weather, so I can finally chip off the packed down snow on my driveway, so it's not a slipping hazard anymore. I'll tag Mary. Otherwise, if Mary's gone, go goon.
Hi everyone, this is Gulgun KM. I'm the Director of Arts, Culture and the Creative Economy, also a city staff member, and she, her, hers. I guess I'm excited to start biking, stopping skiing and starting biking. So happy about the warm weather.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think I don't see Mary on the call just yet, so that's okay. Has anybody besides our guests been still needing to introduce themselves? Otherwise, I think we will move on. So I see that we have Maren Ward here today. Maren, do you want to say hello?
Yeah. Whoops. Whoops. I'm not very good with the teams, so please help me if I'm not doing something right. But I'm Maren Ward, and I'm the director of Zamia Theater Project, and I'm really happy to see Joan. It's been a long time, and happy to meet all of you, and thank you, Crystal, for having me. And I just introducing myself right now, right? She, her. I live in Ward 12, but I'm currently in my office, which is in Ward 8. And I guess I'll acknowledge the almost full moon as my check-in. But I also wanted to say my shirt, the Zamia slogan says, "Stop staring, start seeing." So then when it was "Stop skiing, start biking," and then "Stop staring, start seeing," couldn't help but make that connection. So anyway, thanks. Glad to be here.
Awesome.
Pass to the
We're
next.
so glad to be here. Yeah, so I see that we also have Morgan here tonight. Morgan, do you want to say hello to everyone?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. My name is Morgan Luzier, and I live in Ward 10. I use she, her pronouns. Joan, you and I have met a couple of times. It's really nice to see you again. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here and amongst people who are in service. I think that's really important. And through this process, I've just learned like there's a lot of inner workings going on in the city that you don't know about or take for granted. And I think these commissions are one of them. So thanks for your service, and I'm super happy to be here.
And we're really thrilled to have you as well, and looking forward to discussing your project very soon. And I think there's
Awesome.
One more telephone number here that I don't recognize. Did everybody get a chance? That might be, is there anyone on the line that we haven't said hello to yet?
Yes, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Tashana Williams. I'm actually with Minneapolis Documenters through Pillsbury United Communities. So thank you guys for having me, and I'm just documenting just for Minneapolis residents. And I live in Ward 5. as a resident. And then I also am an arts and engagement specialist in the city of Brooklyn Park. So I definitely wanted to join this art commission to work with some of you all on the call, and maybe even look at some resources that we can bring to Brooklyn Park and maybe partner with Minneapolis on.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you being here tonight. There should be a copy of the agenda in the chat. If it's helpful, it can show you the topics that we will be discussing this evening. So just, let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to use the chat as well. All right, with that, we are going to move on to the first item on our agenda, which is our wonderful guest speaker who is joining us tonight. I don't know, Crystal, if you wanted to go ahead and give an introduction, being that your group had invited Maren here.
Yeah, sure. I certainly can. So the action, access and engagement, action learning team is what it's called. We are really excited to welcome different arts organizations and artists to our monthly meetings to just kind of hear more about what's going on in the city and in the community as far as art goes. And that's kind of it. So I'm really excited to welcome Maren Ward, who is the executive director, right? Is that your title? Yeah, executive director of Zamia Theater Company, right? I always have to look it up.
Project, but you
project.
That's okay.
Zamia Theater Project, which is a really as someone that was involved in kind of a smaller arts organization myself. I feel like smaller arts organizations often kind of fly under the radar, especially those that are working with really specific communities. And so I'm really excited to have Maren here representing Zamia, so we can hear a little bit more about what not only kind of a small, hopefully brief history and what your mission is, but also kind of what you're up to. And one of the things that we're really trying to accomplish too is hearing from different parts of the city. And Zamia, I don't think, has any kind of geographic restrictions, but does operate a lot in downtown. And so we haven't really heard about downtown, but we did hear about Zamia a little bit because you have been engaged with the city and tapped to kind of inform some projects recently, which is cool. But thank you so much for being here, Maren.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks again for having me. Well, yes. So Zamia Theater Project, we're in our 17th year as a thing. We've been through different phases, and we started. Well, what Zamia's mission is to use the power of theater to build understanding and awareness about homelessness and to motivate people to work towards housing justice. So that's the work that we do. And we were started by a community member in 2004, her name Leisha Grossman, and she found herself moved and disturbed by the increasing presence of people who she perceived were homeless on the street in her neighborhood. And she started asking herself what she wanted to know about what she was seeing, and how recognized that she didn't really understand much about what she was seeing and why, and wanted to help but didn't know what to do, and thought and kind of knew enough to know that sometimes you can want to help, and if you don't know how to help, you might do something really unhelpful. And so she thought about, how do I want to learn about this? And she thought about talking with people, and then kind of started to dream up how could I be a part of creating an atmosphere where I could talk with people and people could talk with me, and we could talk with each other and understand more about what's going on and what is needed. and she started making some phone calls, and she called, the first person she got on the phone was Monica Nilsson, who was working at the bridge at the time. Monica's longtime advocate. Joan knows Monica. She's now at Haven Housing, but she's been in a lot of different places. And she talked to Alicia for a long time and gave her a lot of her own thoughts about what she's experienced as people have gone through tried different ways of engaging with this issue. And one of the things she said was that learning is service. That's something Monica always says, like learning is a way of serving, and that it'd also be great, when she was hearing Alicia talk about it, she said, we have a lot of people want to do something and they come in and do a project and then we don't see them again. And she said, I would be really excited to have something start and maybe last and be an ongoing forum. And so those two seeds really informed how, what happened next. And Alicia put together a group of people. And I was at the time actually working at St. Stephen's Human Services doing some skits. We were doing some skits in the men's shelter there. And a friend of mine, Joseph Evans, who was a playwright, had just done a residency with Los Angeles Poverty Department. And that's a Skid Row community theater in LA. And he was here kind of doing some work, thinking about doing some similar work here. And so it was a really fortuitous connection with Alicia. And we started making connections we went to Salvation Army Harbor Light, was the first place we did a workshop, and we did a workshop at the St. Stephen's Men's Shelter and a couple other places that first year. And through the workshops and conversations we put a cast together and created a play and then shared it for a weekend at the Theater Garage, which is no longer there, Franklin and Glendale. And it was a powerful experience for everyone involved, myself included. The participants everyone in the show had so much fun and made connections with each other. And it really hit those points that, I think the people who were coming into it from the perspective of feeling like they didn't know much about homelessness, it's kind of like once you start to get to know each other and people, the issue kind of dissolves, right? It's just like, now we're just people in a room. So what are we going to do? And that's sort of the point of it. And so the power of it, and the audience was really appreciative. And as it happens, myself and Joe, who were the creators that first year, definitely have a penchant for humor. And so the show itself was very, in spite of what you might expect would be, well, depending on your lens and depending on who you are, you might be expecting something heavy when you come to see something about homelessness. And of course, there is seriousness, there is hardship, but there's also a lot of joy. And that was the big surprising thing for the majority of the audience. And there's just the power of that. So being able to celebrate who we are and all experiences. And so that first year was considered a success, and we decided to do it again. And we did it as an annual project for several years. And we started to get more requests for performances and more people interested in being involved. And at that point, it sort of overwhelmed the volunteer board that was organizing it every year. And St. Stephen's had just started a community engagement department, and and Monica was now at St. Stephen's, and she had been kind of advising from the beginning. And so she brought us into St. Stephen's as part of the community engagement. And that's where we became a year-round program. And we devoted about 10 years there at St. Stephen's. And we kept creating work, and we also formed a group of actors who became contracted with the company as the troupe is what we call them, the troupe, and just really invested in the development and the skill of this group and the experience creating together year after year, and expanded our network of who we were performing for and where we were doing the workshops. And then sort of towards the latter part of that, we started to expand the workshop piece of it. So we started doing residencies in places. We actually did one with Crystal there at Culture Club, and we've done in a number of different locations, done these longer term sort of the workshop process where we're hosting, theater games and dialogue, and that becoming a way to meet people and also and new troupe members and create material. And also we started doing during that time, just speaking of downtown, we started doing a partnership with the Ending Street Homelessness Committee of the Downtown 2025 plan. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but the committee is, and they continue to meet and do a lot of work downtown. And we partnered with that committee to do story circles with people who live, work, play, and pray in downtown Minneapolis, homeless and housed, and created a play, Home Street Home Minneapolis, that we performed at the Illusion Theater and at the Century Theater, and then eventually we did a 2-week run at the Guthrie Theater, and that was sponsored by the Downtown Minneapolis Neighbors Association. And so that was one of our really big projects that we did while we were at St. Stephen's, and we're just about to start something very similar in St. Paul, actually, kind of modeled off of that project, and now looking at making some connections in St. Paul, and we're doing a residency at the Dorothy Day Center. In 2018, St. Stephen's did some reprioritizing, and we left there and have started our own nonprofit now, and we are just a baby nonprofit, a 17-year-old baby nonprofit. And I'm here at the Pillsbury House Theater, which is where they graciously have donated us office space. And we are, I would say, we still have a troupe of actors who are contracted with the company. And we, for many years, were doing workshops at the downtown library there on Nicollet. And those have now moved online for the time being. They're going to start up again in a couple of weeks. And we're doing a couple of different partnerships. So we worked with the Criminal Justice Lab of Hennepin Health Research to create a play based on some research that they had done about looking for how to create a wellness program for people who have type 2 diabetes and who are homeless. And we created a play from that research as a way of disseminating their findings, and that's an ongoing collaboration with them. We're also working with a group of physicians who are organizing to work for health equity. They're called the Campaign Against Racism. It's a global campaign from an organization called Equal Health. But there's a Twin Cities chapter. And so we've been working with them to create a forum theater play, which is it's a branch of Theater of the Oppressed. And it's where some of you may know this kind of work, but where you present a scene and then invite the audience to problematize it and then come up with solutions and intervene and get involved and act out new ways of approaching situations. It's often referred to as rehearsing for the revolution. So we've been working on that, and we're also doing a project. We've been doing some work in Greater Minnesota. We created a radio play, A Prairie Homeless Companion, and we're continuing to work on that and gather stories from different regions of Minnesota and adapt that for different. We did Southwest Minnesota, and now we're going to be doing one Central Minnesota later this year. And in addition, for downtown, we just started talking with North Loop neighbors about some things that are going on in the North Loop, and are starting to talk about a partnership there. So lots of stuff in the city of Minneapolis and elsewhere. So that's kind of the rundown of all we have going on right now. Anything else? Any questions? I feel like I just yammered.
That was good yammering, though. It was really rich information. I had noticed on my Facebook memories today that I think it was 3 years ago that we did a play together also at Hennepin Theater Trust.
Yeah. I didn't even mention that. I skipped over it. Stories from the Book of Harbor Light that we did together with Joan at Hennepin Theater Trust.
Yeah. So that popped up in my feed just today, and I thought that was really cool because that was pretty special.
I guess I have a question, Marin. What do you think is for your troupe, the artists in Zamia?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is kind of, I mean, I guess I want to say like some of their needs at the moment, or like, I guess Zamia too as an organization, because we're always kind of wanting to know how we can support the work being done in the city and connect folks. So I'm just wondering, as artists, like either individual artists or Zamia, like what do you see as kind of barriers or needs of the moment?
Yeah. A couple of things come to mind for the company and for the individuals. For the company, one thing that was on my mind as I was coming into this meeting tonight was just what you're already doing, which is getting the word out about all the different ways that art and artists can engage with issues, and that's a huge barrier, and I'm sure you're all very aware of sort of still even in spite of how much incredible work is being done by artists in so many different ways, there's still a sort of idea that it belongs in this corner. And I think so the work that you're already doing of, like, spreading the word that art needs to be embedded in the city is really, I think, is going to help all of us. And then I think something that just came in when you brought that up about the troupe is something and this is this is gigantic thing, but we really are constantly trying to figure out how to work with people, how to pay people to work who are receiving all the various forms of support for housing or support for food stamps or support, and then how much everything just gets so convoluted the minute somebody gets an $80 check. It like throws things into chaos. And I just feel like something about the freelance, that basic income, that's the solution to that. I mean, it's like, that's a really huge thing for our company that we're just like trying to balance, like how can we bring people in, and when sometimes it's just easier to just keep it, keep things the way they are, so, but we want to compensate people, obviously, because they're doing the work. So those are two things that came in right away when you asked that. And I think, maybe connections, like we're looking at some of these RFPs that are coming out, the partnership engagement, and the health department had there was a wellness grant, and it's like, oh, we can kind of see how our work fits in all these different ways. And again, I'm sure this is not something that is unfamiliar to anyone on this call, but just, a little bit here, a little bit there. And it's so much work to kind of explain everything. And then you don't even know if you're going to get it. And it's like, is there some way to just universal basic income for the nonprofit, the small nonprofits of the world? I can't roll out the policy, but that I recommend, but those are some things that come to mind as big challenges.
It feels like the city vendor process too, like just navigator of some kind to just simplifying that process and making it less arduous, and maybe changing some of the evaluation and reporting too. I mean, I guess we're kind of getting the weeds with it, but it's like also on the back end too. It's like once you've done all of that really heavy lifting to get those grant proposals submitted through the vendor system, that and how it, how particular it can be and how tricky it can be, then once your grant period is done and you go to request your payment, there's also this reporting and evaluation process that can equally be capacity draining and just hard. And I just remember those times of like being like, it's reporting time and I can't do anything because I'm like going to be stuck here for days trying to get this done. And just like realizing that there has to be a way to like vet organizations or something to be able to simplify those processes somehow. So I do think we hear that pretty often, that would be helpful. So just wanted to echo that.
And does someone have a hand up? Is that Miss? Who was that?
Commissioner Thompson. Lucy, I think your hand was up.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I was muted. This is just so cool. This is so cool. Thank you, Crystal, for bringing Marin to us. This is just amazing. My question is, do you use young adults who are homeless as well, or is it mostly adults? Like, kind of what's the age range of people that you're engaging in your performances?
Well, we have done some work with young adults. We did a project, like I said, we did the project with Culture Club, and we've done some work. We did a project where we were working with the Link and then Ebenezer Housing. So we did like a youth and seniors project. We're actually going to be going to a youth shelter in St. Cloud when we're doing they just invited us to come talk about the Prairie Homeless Companion Project there. I would say though, we have skewed more adult just because of where we've been invited in and where we've done our work. And it just is so different, the experience and the needs and the atmosphere. I mean, we have had some young people join the company for a while, and it's always so great to have that range. We have an 80-year-old troop member. So it's like when we have a young person, it's like this whole spread of life, and it's something that we really value and want as a part of the work that we do. And it's like I say, it's those projects require a different process almost than what we've built that has attracted a lot of adults, middle-aged and older.
Any other questions or comments or feedback? Okay, cool. Marin, it's so delightful to see you again. And for those who haven't met you yet, I think it's been a real treat. And hopefully there can be some ways that the Arts Commission can continue to spread the good word about the work that you lead with Samia, and keep us in the loop too. If there's something that you think that we can be helpful with too, you know who to call.
Yeah. Right.
Crystal, did you have any last words or anything?
No, just thank you. Thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thanks.
Thanks, Marin. Hope to see you soon. All right. Commissioner Mabius, did you mean to raise your hand?
I did not. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Okay, with that, we will move on to our next speaker, who is We're going to be talking about the South Lynn Lake Business Association Greenway Mural by Reggie Laflore. And we have a approval of design recommendation this evening. So you should have received some preliminary materials that you could skim, but I believe Talia will walk us through a brief presentation and we can have a brief discussion too. And then of course, Morgan, who is the project lead, is also here. So thanks, ladies.
Yes, I will give a quick summary for you guys, and then if you have questions, I will let Morgan answer them. So the Lynn Lake Small Business Association is applying to install a Greenway mural under the bridges at Bryant and Aldrich Avenue South. They would like to install these murals during their Lynn Lake Street Art Festival, where they invite local and national artists to install murals on the Lynn Lake buildings. This year, they would like to include their first publicly held space along Greenway with the goal to encourage more visitors, improve the experience of coming up to the Lynn Lake Business Corridor, and to educate people on the Greenway's history. To date, they have supported over 200 artists and added 150 images to their commercial corridor. The Lynn Lake Business Association did not have an open call for artists. They felt after 5 years of their festival, they know many local artists and did not feel a national call would be appropriate for this project. Instead, they selected successful artists that they have worked with in the past who they felt could deliver excellent work and has an understanding of the area. You can see page 2 of the application for more details on the selection committee and their selection criteria. They selected artist Reggie Laflore. And I will be scrolling through some of his past examples because this is an early design review application, so there's no final design yet because the artist is still working on it. And so instead of the final design, they show previous work. The Street Art Festival organizers will be providing the artists with supplies and coordinate the installation cleanup and traffic management. They're using exterior base paint and aerosol paints for their materials. The Lynn Lake Business Association will deal with urgent maintenance, while the Street Art Festival Committee will provide long-term maintenance along with all their other murals that they maintain that were installed as part of the festival. They have letters of support from the Greenway Coalition and the Wedge neighborhood. Their public education is extensive as it will be part of their regular Street Art Festival campaign, which reaches an audience of around 30,000 people. You can see more details about their public education on page 5. Page 5 also includes the budget, which has an $8,000 artist fee. And they also hope to include this mural in this year's Greenway Glow celebration. The Public Art Advisory Panel did review this application as well at their last meeting on March 2nd, and they made a recommendation to you guys to approve, provided it meets Hennepin County's other requirements, and the final design is approved by Public Art staff. Did you guys have any questions?
I don't have a question. I just am excited to see the growth of the program and that there's this maturity in the artists that are being engaged, and that the artist Reggie Lafleur clearly has a lot of great work all throughout the Twin Cities. So that's super exciting. I wonder, Morgan, do you want to contribute any information about the project to the commission?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I have to say the application process is really rigorous, and I was kind of warned that it was so, and go in with eyes wide open, and it's going to take some time and do it way in advance. So we started in November, and I'm grateful that we did that because it is time consuming, but it helped us get way clearer about what we wanted to do, and we learned a lot about the Greenway and its history. And I know that will influence the artist. We had some roundtables about the Greenway history and, kind of like evenings of research, just combing over old photos and just kind of having an understanding of how railroad impacted this area, and how it's transformed since then. So while it was like a very time consuming process, I appreciated it because I know that we'll have better art because of it, more impactful, more meaningful. And it also helped us pick our artist, Reggie, you know, who he's been in our street art festival the last couple of years, and he's just a really dependable artist and was equally as interested in the history of the area. So yeah, we're super excited about it. You know, in the past, all of our murals have been on private buildings. So my relationship is with private building owners. And this was the first time that we decided to try to include a public installation. And like you said, Joan, I really feel like it matures the vision of the festival. And, you know, our goal is just to kind of grow it organically, but in a way that we as volunteers can sustain and maintain, because we also have our normal jobs. And this just felt like a natural next step. And so we're super excited about it. It feels like a gift, you know, like to the city, and we hope that it's seen as such. So yeah, it's been a really great process.
Awesome. Are there any comments, questions, feedback for either Talia or Morgan about the project? Not seeing any hands up. Okay, cool. With that, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the design for the Lynn Lake Business Association Greenway Mural by Reggie Lafleur.
Joan, I'm assuming you're adding the other points that were made that came out of the panel, that it meets the requirements and the final design is approved by staff in your motion?
Yes, okay. Thank you. That's accurate. Thank you, Lucy. Yes, let me restate that. Can I get a motion to approve the design for the Lyndale Business Association Greenway Mural by Reggie Lafleur, provided it meets Hennepin County's other requirements and the final design is approved by public art staff? Thanks.
So moved.
Who is that?
Jack Mabius.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Mabius. Okay, so we have a proper motion before us. Is there any discussion before I ask for a second? Who would like to second?
I second. That's Mari.
Thank you, Commissioner Mansfield. Okay, great. Any other comments? No's, recuses? Okay. We do have a proper motion before us, so I would like to ask the clerk to call the roll on that motion, please.
Commissioner Brinkman?
Aye.
Commissioner Bedbury?
Aye.
Commissioner Silky Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Mansfield?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabius?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Swinton?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
And Commissioner Border-Brugen?
Aye. And with that motion passes. Congratulations, Morgan, and everyone involved. Thank you, Talia, very much. We really appreciate the time you've spent on this, and thank you for this tremendous gift to the city. We'll be so excited to see your project as it manifests, and let us know if there's anything else that we can do to be helpful to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, Talia, very much. You held my hand.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Okay. Let's move on to our next item on our agenda, which is we have invited Gulgoon to, while she oftentimes attends these meetings and interacts with the commission in various capacities, we thought it was a really nice moment in time to give her some time this evening to just discuss the work that she does on behalf of her Department of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy. So she has generously put together a brief orientation for us, as well as going to speak to a couple of opportunities that exist right now, and then allow us a little time for question and answer. So Gulgoon, thank you so much for your time and your effort to be with us this evening, and go ahead.
You're muted. Gulgun, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me. I'm appreciative of this opportunity, which was inspired by your strategic planning process. It struck me that this might be a good opportunity for you all to learn a bit about what my office does as you think about the new department, as you think about planning in the future. So a little bit about myself before I go into the details. I am an immigrant to this country. I am Turkish. I came to study at the University of Minnesota in theatre arts. Hi, Maren. I know Maren from a long time, and I still practice as an artist. I've also held a number of positions in organizations in the city, at the Bush Foundation, at the Weissman Art Museum, and I've also been a consultant working with Forecast and Springboard, as well as other organizations. So that just gives you a bit of an understanding of where I come from in terms of culturally and also in terms of work practices. I arrived in the city in 2011 in the newly created position, which is within the coordinator's office. So I'm just having a little bit of difficulty moving forward in this PowerPoint, and I'm wondering, hi guys, I'm having difficulty moving this forward.
Do you want to try using your arrow keys, maybe? Are you doing that? You're muted again. There you go. Okay.
Sorry about that. I apologize for this. Yeah, sorry about that. So just a little bit of a sort of a grounding. There are 2 arts dedicated programs in the city. There are other departments that spends money on arts, but the 2 that exist are within the Office of the City Coordinator, and embedded in the Strategic Initiatives Division is my office. And then within Community Planning and Economic Development, embedded in the Planning Division is Public Art, and also the Minneapolis Arts Commission. So Public Art Program staffs the Minneapolis Arts Commission. I'm experiencing some difficulties moving forward, and I don't know why. It's very frustrating.
I don't know if the arrow key worked before, but there you go. It seems to mute you when you do that too. So sorry, Gulgun, but we'll get through this. It's okay.
I have a really sticky key in this computer, and for some reason it keeps turning things off. Just so you can see where it sits inside of the city structure, you can see here's the coordinator, here's community planning and economic development, and the coordinator has a number of different departments that report directly to it. I'm inside the coordinator's administration. Seeing some difficulties again. Good God, this is not working for me. Oh boy. Oh, here we go. And so as you can see, strategic initiatives. Inside of my office is a number of other initiatives, including race equity, promise zone, human trafficking. Just so I can give you a sense of grounding in what the differences are: 2 different business plans, 2 different histories of development, 2 different missions. Currently, the mission of my office, which is still in draft format, every 4 years, the city coordinator manages the process for new council members to create goals and vision for the city. And when that happens, each of the coordinator administration initiatives has to review their goals and mission to ensure that it's aligned with the new direction. And so this is the current draft of where I'm at. It needs to be approved by council eventually, but just to give you a sort of another grounding in where my work is coming from and what the focus is. So we support creative workers, we assist city departments, and we provide access to training and resources for creative workers. One other thing to remember is a feature of my programs. So when I arrived in the city in 2011, I had no budget and no staff. So really, It was a bit of a challenge to get things done, to say the least. And I had a long list of things to do. And so what I then started to do was to apply for grant funding. 60% of my budget is based on grants. And because of that, the projects that I do tend to be one-offs. They don't run over multiple years or have long histories because the grants expire. Another thing to bear in mind is I have lots of different deliverables. As you can see, the current mission has more economic focuses, but in the past, it's really depended on the elected administration. So the elected officials do very much drive what the coordinator does, and as a result, drive my work. So the deliverables are different, the processes are different, and they tend to be sporadic. These programs that I'm going to talk about now are the most stable ones, meaning each of these areas have some level of city funding behind it or a staff person. And that staff person is really me. The staff people I have had in the past have been temporary because they've been funded by grants. So I'm the only person really in the coordinator's office. As you can see there from this list, we're going to be just skipping over very lightly over each of these projects, and I'll highlight what the Arts Commission's role has been in the past. So the research and evaluation, the main project I'm going to talk about is the Minneapolis Creative Index. For those of you that don't know, it is a biannual report that my office creates and disperses in the metro area. And it is a way for us, meaning within the city, to understand the scale and impact of Minneapolis's creative sector. We track the data over long periods of time, so we have baseline data, and we purchase it from national data aggregators. We also define the creative sector. This project was brought to us by community and by elected officials at the same time in order to define what it is we're talking about. We also provide data, as you can say, for the city. So this is just about Minneapolis, and data for the metropolitan area. And the role that the Arts Commission has had is actually to help us establish the report. The Arts Commission sat on the work group that provided the input on the report structure and helped us develop it. So under arts policy and planning, the Creative City Roadmap is the project I'm going to talk about, but they're kind of interconnected. The Creative City Roadmap is a 10-year strategic plan on arts, culture, and the creative economy. And this strategic plan was the sort of grounding document that we worked from in order to provide policies that then went into the comprehensive plan. Out of this strategic plan came 4 areas of focus, and it was an arts-infused planning process with a racial equity lens, working with 150 organizations, 2,000 community participants. And the role that the Minneapolis Arts Commission had was to chair the steering committee, which provided the structure for the planning process, and MAC members sat on all 5 work groups. Next is an artist in residence program we are calling Creative City Making. This was a project that started off as a special project with intermediate arts that came to my office, and we worked with, who received funding from Art Place America, and we worked with the planning office who helped structure what Creative City Making is. It was an artist in residence program, and Intermedia held the funds and implemented the program with the idea that we'd develop a format that could be offered to other departments of the city, and that my program would have some involvement in implementation, working in partnership with Intermedia Arts. However, as we all know, we lost Intermedia, and when we lost Intermedia, my office took that program over and kept it alive inside the city and received funding to implement it in 2018. The work of Creative City Making is really to partner artists with city departments to integrate not just the arts into those departments, but also to integrate policy making and engagement practices. In fact, we had a project that had Theatre of the Oppressed in regulatory services working with city inspectors that was very effective. So I'm just noting that that work that Zamia just talked about is extraordinarily effective. The collaborations that we manage, we've had 22 artists working with 8 city departments, and it's really field-tested tools, community engagement and civic engagement, focused and centered around underrepresented communities. The Minneapolis Arts Commission's role in this has been relatively recent. We have a very, very involved selection process. And so we need the expertise of the Arts Commission on the selection committee, which runs over more than one day. The other types of work I do are partnerships. When I say partnerships, these are grants that require some level of partnership. I showed these other partnerships that have disappeared, the Art Place and Bloomberg grants. Our town is the only one that remains, and this particular grant process was already underway before I arrived in the city, and the coordinator managed it, and my program was asked to continue the work. And so the Arts Commission's role in that is to sit on the selection committee. The types of work we've done was actually Planet Hennepin. That was selected before I arrived, but other work has been with the Capri Theatre, with Pangea World Theatre, with Juxtaposition Arts for the skate park. What we do is we partner, we support the application, and then really we step away. And so quite a bit of work has been in the special projects category. So I want to remind you that this is the one-time funding project. So they come with grant dollars attached, or in some cases with some city money attached, but it's one time. So we don't have the stability of regular processes to rely on. Here's a list of the projects I've done since I've arrived in the city. The crossed out ones represent projects that are no longer around because the funding was gone. Either they were built to be one time or the funding disappeared. The current projects are listed here, and the two that I'm going to talk about are opportunities. And I'm going to talk a little bit about them. First is the Creative Response Fund. Last year, we had an Arts Commissioner sit on the selection committee. And also the Arts Commissioner helped with application testing. Each year, we get feedback from people that we have funded the previous year. And we look at, each year we review that process and see if it's still functioning. As it was really the first round of funding to the community last year, we wanted to re-engage this year and test that application and make sure it was accessible, relatable, understandable, etc. The selection committee will meet in April, so I'm looking for at least one arts commissioner that's interested in participating. The other process is for a project we call Creative Minneapolis. In 2021, my office was awarded $500,000 through federal resources called the American Rescue Plan. And we are looking to develop a business support programming for arts organizations, businesses, and entrepreneurs. And we're looking for at least 4 to 6 arts commissioners that are interested in attending at least 2 meetings. Not 2 meetings, we think 2 meetings, we might add a third if necessary, to help us develop the policies for this application, as it's a one-time opportunity because these resources will go away. And we will also test the application and have a selection committee. Those dates represent the dates when the opportunities will happen. And thank you. I invite everyone to check out the website that is managed by my office. There are other things that I do, such as the newsletter, which if you haven't signed up for it, you really should sign up for it because you can track a lot of the work that my office does. But I wanted to just share this, and I'll stand for any questions. I hope I wasn't too long because those glitches were annoying. Sorry about that.
No, that's great. Thank you so much, Gulgun. Commissioner Townsend, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thanks for that, Gulgun. That was really helpful, especially being a somewhat new commissioner. That was really, really helpful. I think I'm still confused about the Artisan residency program. Is it still in place? Do you still have the 8 city departments and the 22 artists, or was 2018 the last year, or what?
No. So as I tried to explain, that started off as a special project. collaboratively implemented with intermediate arts. However, it grew because of the interest and the results that we got from that work. We kind of did the iterative, application of that idea. We really wanted to explore what could artists do inside of city departments, and planning was the perfect place to do that. And once we learned that, we then offered it to other departments. But when I say we, it was Intermedia that did the implementation.
Okay.
We lost Intermedia, so my program took on the task of really delivering everything and hired 2 staff. But as it was funded by the Kresge Foundation, I lost that 2 staff. I have been requesting funding from the mayor. We did have a mayor who did put some money towards the program, but it wasn't enough for us to cover 2 staff. So we have some resources. It's right now, because I lost the staff, right now I'm sort of trying to decide how to move forward. Also, there's the new department. And so holding off on trying to invite more work, because it's not like I put artists in departments and they stay there the whole time. It's not like the St. Paul model where one person stays for a long time. Departments come to our office, offer projects. We then do an open call and match those artists to those projects. And once those projects are over, the department can continue to work with the artists if they wish, and then they spend their own money, or it's done. So the census was a project that was one-off, but then the tenant voices, which is the project in regulatory services, that took 4 years because the inspectors found a lot of value in that work. But I don't have money for 4 years to spend on artists. Does that help? So it's not like St. Paul's program where it's one person for 9 years. It's actually lots of projects, and they come to us, we do the sorting, and then we support all the projects as they happen.
That helps immensely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for Gulgoon and the work that she's shared and the programs that she leads through her office? Okay, and any questions about the opportunities that the opportunity right now that we're looking at, which is 2 parts. There's 2. Okay, sorry.
One is a panel position for the Creative Response Fund, and the other is for helping to develop the business support services, which is the American Rescue Plan dollars, a one-off again.
Yes, so those are 2, I would say, highly critical opportunities to have some major influence. I would love it if anyone who would like to find out more. Oh, I see, Jeff, your hand's up.
Yeah, I'd be interested in the second one that you mentioned. Could you put the presentation in the chat? I love the city, and I'm still trying. I'm like you, Lucy, trying to understand how everything kind of works and connects. And I love those the graphs and the charting of where your organization fits in the overall city. So if you could share some of that, that would be great. The chat would be.
What I'll do is I think I'm going to give this to Tina, and it can become part of the permanent notes.
Yeah.
So you can look at that, but also these graphs are inside the city's budget, which is public. So if you go look up the city's budget, it's in the budget pages.
Okay.
But I'm happy to also provide them. And just so you know, just as sort of a proviso to all this, with the new strong mayor system, the vote that happened to give the mayor more power, that structure with the city, the large one, is going to change, as will the structure for the coordinator's office, because it impacts every department. And then with the development of the new department, it will put Mary and Talia and the public art staff in the same space as me. And if I have any staff by the time that happens. So it will actually put everything under one roof, which I think is a really good thing for everybody, because it's very hard to track the moving parts when they're under different business lines, different plans, different work plans, different. It's just so you know, that's been some of the challenge of working inside a dispersed structure like this. But thank you, Jeff. I'll definitely reach out. Meena Mangal Vedanka is the contractor who's the project manager for this, for the business support, and I'll have her reach out to you for participation.
Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Mabius?
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested too, and would like to get more information to understand how I can be of help, but it definitely interests me for sure.
Thank you. So I can accommodate more if more folks want to participate. I was hoping for 4, but 2 is fine. We can get it done quicker, but hopefully more than that. What we'll be doing is going over criteria for selection, eligibility, that type of thing, establishing kind of the core of the selection process, and then really working on accessibility and all the kind of nuts and bolts of application processes.
So that's, yeah, I think that opportunity to be there to help to define the criteria is hugely influential to the process, and that's very impactful decision making. So I encourage anyone who wants to be a part of that process, even from a learning perspective, or just bringing whatever considerations that you would like for there to be with this process. That would be a really great use of the commission's extra time and as a special project. So that's really great, Gulgun. Thank you for bringing that to us. Is there any other questions? Certainly Gulgun is available, via email if people have additional questions that they might think of in the interim, but we really appreciate you taking time with us today to explain in more detail the work that you are leading and the opportunities that we face. So thank you for putting this together and presenting it to us this evening. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for the invitation. I appreciate it too.
Awesome. Okay, and moving on, I think this is the last item on our agenda tonight, which is our Action Learning Team and Subcommittee updates. So let's get at it. Let's see, we have Policy and Advocacy. Councilmember Aylesworth was not able to join us this evening. So is there anybody on the policy group team that would like to give some quick updates?
I can do it, Joan, or I'll take the part about the canvassing, and then I think maybe Ahava maybe is going to do the Poet Laureate part. But so Lana is compiling all of the notes from all of us meeting with our council members, and she said that she hopes to post them on Teams by the end of next week. So and with her recent getting stuck in Colorado, maybe that'll be delayed a little bit. But so she said, if you do have any notes that you haven't sent to her yet, to just please send them on to her. And Joan, I don't know if you still want them copied to you, just FYI, but so do that, please. And then she just had a little reminder just to, if you're having trouble, and maybe everyone knows this, probably you do already, but if you're having trouble getting in touch with your council members, the aides usually have much better availability, or if they're doing open office hours, to just kind of go to one of those and have a conversation. So so that's what Lana wanted you to know about that. Just a couple other things from the non-Poet Laureate part of our meeting. We talked a little bit about there's, I think, some interest maybe by somebody, maybe the city clerk, of moving back to a resolution-based thing rather than an ordinance. And I don't totally understand all the implications of that, but I think it means we're a little bit less stable, and public input is different when you're created by resolution rather than by ordinance. So we just want to kind of be aware of that. And, of course, we hope in the new department that MAC is more visible in general, but just something that Mary brought to our attention. At that time, the time of our meeting, she said there was a job description being routed for the new director. Our meeting was February 23rd, so I think that's definitely gotten, more people have seen it and been working on it. And then we had talked about, and the commission's talked about it too, we just repeated the need to talk to the mayor's staff, Rebecca, about just the new strong mayor system, and how we feel that would help us, and that in conjunction with the new department. And then we're also going to, I think at the next meeting, review the racial equity impact analysis work and the SREAP stuff, and we're supposed to come with 2 or 3 things that maybe Matt can work on in those. And Lana has sent those. I think they're in our Teams files or something, but we're going to try to have a conversation about that. So we can, that's on our work program. So how we can get a little bit clearer about our work and racial equity stuff. So I think that's everything except for the Poet Laureate stuff. So if I missed anything, someone pipe up.
No, great job, Lucy. And I just want to add that there was some clarification you may have seen, and we'll talk about the retreat just briefly at, later, a little bit later. But we were, at the time of the retreat, we were really unsure who was leading the process of creating the job description and who the accountable party was for this process and the hiring process. And we found that it is Heather Johnson, who is the interim city coordinator. And so we have been working to get a meeting with Ms. Johnson, either coming to our exec committee meeting, our general MAC meeting, or one of our policy meetings. Any of those would be helpful and appropriate, and have not had any luck so far, but have had some conversations and some discussions, and have a bit of a strategy to see if we can still get in front of her yet to have her meet us, find out a little bit more about the commission, and then for us to find out a little bit more about where we are going to be positioned within this very important next step of the department development. So more to come about that. I just wanted to add that. So, but thank you, Lucy, for.
Yeah, and Joan, I think, is that in place of communicating directly with Council President Jenkins, right? This is a more direct way that we found out the right conversation to have. Okay, great.
Yep. Yes. So thanks, everybody. Okay, Ahava, did you have a Poet Laureate update? Thank you so much, Commissioner Thompson. Great updates.
Yes, that was a great update. Yes, Jack and I were going to tag team the Poet Laureate update. The big takeaway is just that we are wanting to move full forward ahead in making the Poet Laureate come to fruition this year. And we talked a fair amount at our meeting this week about with the timeline of getting the new director for the department in place, that we don't want to lose the momentum or the budget allocation we have for the Poet Laureate. And so as a Poet Laureate working group, I know one of our next steps is to get together and come up with some potential action steps, ways that we can support making it come to fruition, and whether that's selection process or partnering with Hennepin County Libraries, etc. So I guess the biggest update is just that we are dedicated to moving forward with the Poet Laureate creation and supporting in any way that we can. Jack, do you have anything else you want to add?
I would just add that we are trying to develop some creative approaches to how to get this momentum going forward. And a large part of that is kind of taking on the effort of coming up with a selection panel, the timeline, and really finding a creative way to have the funds administered. So what we're kind of developing right now is a timeline of, when funds will be administered to the Poet Laureate. We're thinking about 4 times per year with certain deliverables from the artist. And we're still kind of deliberating about that and figuring out what that looks like. But our draft timeline right now is really looking forward to maybe June as a place that we would actually have a Poet Laureate in place. And it's a little bit farther than our timeline that we wanted, but it's still moving the process forward and really trying to get this off the ground, because we don't want it to get dropped. And Lana had said in the past that, this initiative has, gone through and got the funding, and then it just totally like bailed, and we don't want that to happen. So so if that means a little extra work on our part to you know, have this process move forward, then we're willing to do so, and we agreed at that in our last meeting. So yeah, that's all I would add.
Awesome. Jeff, you have a question? Thank you.
Yeah, Jack, are you guys still looking at a youth poet laureate, or that's
Yes.
or
Yes. So the way that we had initially outlined how we do it, there would be so we would have a poet laureate the first year, and then the second year would be a youth poet laureate that the poet laureate previously would be a mentor or would work in tandem with. And so the youth poet laureate wouldn't even be a thing that we would need to really deal with until 2023. Because we really wanted the poet laureate to get established, and as part of the program that we designed, it would be like the first year would be their design of what they want to do in their work as a poet laureate for the city, and the second year would really try to showcase or highlight a youth poet laureate or even a youth poet laureate cohort we've talked about, and we really like that engagement idea with an established poet laureate. So that is definitely in our midst, and we're just trying to figure out how it's going to work with our timeline now. But yeah, more details will come. But like that's how we originally envisioned it. So we'll see how that gets revised coming forward.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments for policy and advocacy or poet laureate work? All right, great job, everybody. Next up is access and engagement. You all have some cool news for us tonight, I think.
Gosh, everybody has some cool news. I'm just being really impressed right now by all the work that's being done. Good job, everyone. The access and engagement team has been coordinating our artist panel conversation, years in the making. This month, Thursday, March 31st, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. will be the active conversation. We have confirmed a facilitator, Trisha Hearing of Public Functionary, and 6 artists that have experience with the city. And just so you know, they are Kauli Tao, Marlena Miles, Mankwe Ndosi, Christopher Harrison, Atsin Reyes Fernandez, and Witsi Asoko. It's going to be a great conversation, and I'm really looking forward to it. You're all invited, and I hope you all tune in. We'll document it for sure. The goal of this conversation is to really get feedback and input from the artists that have experience with the city to determine what works, what doesn't, ideas, etc. So please send me, you can email me any kind of like thoughts, or maybe there's like things that you think, you know, should be addressed. I mean, an hour isn't that long, especially when there's 7 people involved, but I'm definitely, we welcome your input. This is a really special occasion, so it's going to be great. And we're also working on future guests for our meetings. Although the budget piece of our commission isn't exactly the same as it has been in years past because of the development of this new department. So we're kind of taking it quarter by quarter. Lucy, do you have your hand up?
I do, thank you. Did you discuss doing 2 hours or longer, or is it just based on people's availability and how busy everyone's lives are, or what?
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about a time frame thing. There is a little room on either end, thanks to Tina, for the Teams platform to be accessible. So, but we did talk about, yeah, just making this feeling like a thing that an artist, a working artist, many of whom are parents and et cetera, could commit to. Yeah, but
Totally. Yep.
yeah, we just wanted to be like minimize those barriers. I think all the artists they're all very responsive and really open to participating. So I do suspect that if there were like burning, follow-up questions or something, that we could approach them. But it's gonna be a power-packed hour. Yeah, so look for that invite for the link to the Teams meeting. And thank you, Tina, for setting that up. Appreciate it.
Amazing. It has been years in the making, and it was really hard because we were like stopping and starting a lot. And so just to show that there's been this kind of like long range effort, it started with this survey development and identifying survey respondents and then sort of feeding and teasing this idea. And so just huge hats off to the Access team for taking the time to be sure that this is executed in a way where we're really engaging artists and feeling very welcome to share their experiences with us in this way. It's still, I think everybody had hoped that we would be back together again at this point. I think that could be happening soon, but I'm just glad that you all have shoved through and are making it happen, and that you have such an all-star group of artists that I think we'll be able to learn a lot about what their experience has been and where there may be some future opportunities. So everybody everybody attend, and good luck, Access. Let any of us know that maybe isn't in your immediate team. If you need anything from us, we'll do whatever we can to help and support you then too. Any other questions for Access team? Go ahead, Lucy.
Sorry, I have one. I forget how we're publicizing this, because it's available to the general public, right? Anyone can tune in? Okay.
Yeah, anyone can tune in, but I mean, that's something that I'm not familiar with either, frankly. So I know we have our Facebook page. It's on LIMS, which is the website, which, I mean, I don't think I would ever look at personally, or think to look at what's happening. And so yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Maybe something that all of us could do is, share it or email it, or even just I don't know, somehow spread the word.
I think we could ask Mary if we could make a Facebook event on the Minneapolis Arts Commission Facebook page, and then we could all personally share out. But I think we have to clarify if that's okay or not. Go ahead.
I am an administrator for that page, and I'm happy to do so. So if you want to send me the information or any of the details, I'd be happy to post that, and then we could spread it through the commission for sure.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jack.
I'd also note, when we met with the Ward 10 council member, she said she wants to be informed of stuff and would love to attend. And I'm wondering if we send it to all the council members, they might put it in their newsletter. Well, their newsletter might have gone out already for March, but whatever, if they do emails or something. But Councilmember Shugtai was really interested in working with us and getting word out about stuff. So I'd love, maybe that's an option too.
So how about this, Jack, if you're willing, will you please reach out to Mary tomorrow to ask her, or whenever you can, kind of ASAP, if it's okay if you make a Facebook invite or a Facebook event page that we can all share. And then if there's a quick who, what, where, when, and a link, maybe Crystal, you can get that to Jack or something. There's some way for you guys to coordinate. And then as soon as you have that, if we're able to do it, and as soon as you have that link, I can imagine the artist names and that kind of stuff would be in there. Then sending that to everyone, and let's each of us invite our council members to attend, as a minimum. And then if there's other folks that you want to, use your own personal networks, feel free to, but as a minimum, let's invite our council members.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I also think that this highlights where we kind of need a communication plan for a lot of the things that are going on. And I think that like what I've heard from the council members as well that I've interviewed, they're like, I want you to tell me what's going on. I want to know, like, I don't have the time or the capacity to try and figure it out for myself. And I think that they want that from this commission. So I just want to highlight that and thinking about maybe how we, when stuff is going and happening, like we need to like be able to like be a little bit more forthcoming with that. So
yeah, and also I hope that the documentation can somehow live somewhere that's easy-ish to find, you know, a link to the video. I don't know how many people do that, but
I could not agree more. And as an administrator, I think that we definitely need to come up with some process that works for best for everybody. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and maybe just in the interim before we start to hopefully get a little more sophisticated with these types of things, that video could also live on our Facebook page or even on the website for the Minneapolis Arts Commission, right? Like that's another, I don't know how frequently it's viewed, but still, like that's an area we could populate some content. So, okay, cool. All right, those action steps feel okay? Yeah. All right. We'll get the word out. Awesome. Great job, you guys. Thank you so much. So we are 1 minute over time. I apologize. I believe that I will go last. I think unless the Public Art Committee has anything, I know that I think tonight we had decided that the Greenway Mural was going to be the update. Is there anything else though, Commissioners Mansfield or Smith, that we may have missed that you want to share?
I'm on the panel as well. No, we're talking a lot about site selection criteria, whether they should be tied to the capital improvement program. And Mary can talk more about that next time when we have time, but we spent a lot of time on that.
Oh, cool. Okay, that sounds good. And then the last is just the executive updates. You should have received notes from the retreat. They were missing some comments from Commissioner Thompson. And I think because we are over time, what I would like to suggest I do is that I think we just need to meld her comments into the information that you were given, and we'll send out maybe a little bit of a better summarized notes sheet. I can work on that. But one thing I just want to mention to you all is that it was a great think tank. There were a lot of ideas. Please read the notes, especially the amended ones that I'm going to send you, hopefully this week. And just know that long-term goals are going to be on our executive committee agenda now moving forward every month, so that they don't get lost. We are looking at considering like what is a field scan of what other commissions do and how it looks compared to the work that we're doing. And so that's really awesome. Commissioner Ellsworth is really committed to creating some field scan information and taking another look at what Seattle and Denver and some of the other like cities that might be comparable to ours. We want to potentially work on the recruitment process for commissioners. We know that needs some work, and that's another whole job. It is, we do now have identified Heather Johnson as the person who we need to get in front of. So that was a big piece of this and how we understand where do we fit in the development of the department. And it really starts with the hiring of this director, like how do we fit into that process? So more to come about that. And I think that those are the big pieces, long-term goals, department development, and onboarding, and really thinking about where the rest of the slate is going to come from. So I don't know, Commissioner Thompson, did you want to contribute anything more? So
nope, you covered it just great.
Okay, cool. Okay, does anyone have any other comments, feedback? Action packed. What a great group. All right, let's see. Here we go. With that, we have completed all items on the agenda for this meeting. I will ask members and staff if there are any other matters to come before this meeting. If not, and without objection, I declare this meeting adjourned. Our next meeting will be April 20th, I believe. And actually, we will see you on March 31st at that artist panel on Teams. And congrats to everyone. You guys do such amazing work. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and have a blessed evening. See you soon. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, daddy, yeah. He probably has been what? I do. My phone is I'm gonna mute. Yeah, in my arts commission meeting. Oh, so until 7. Hello. What happened? Oh, better apple. Yeah, what's it called? Yeah. I don't want to eat apple. Oh. That's gonna get cold. I wore sandals the other day. Whoa. Man, look at all this ice and poop. My entire yard, including everywhere underneath the dome, is all so now that there's not ice on it, it's probably sunlight. Yeah, it was covered in like an inch of ice. Hooray!